BusinessJournalDaily.com. 3 Minutes With is brought to you by...
I want to retire knowing we did it right. We want
to know that it's been worth something.
It's worth everything.
Be intentional about your worth. Farmers National Bank Wealth Management.
What is the key message you want to convey to the people here tonight?
Well, I'm really come with a different kind of message other than Holocaust denial, that'll be part of what I talk about. That there is a precipitous rise in anti-Semitism worldwide. It comes from
13%, I believe.
Yes, well, it depends how you count it, but it certainly is more than it's ever been before. It comes from the political right, it comes from the political left, it comes from Islamist extremists, it comes from a number of different directions. We've never had it in the world, and certainly even in the United States, where it's coming from all these directions at the same time. And I think the haters feel emboldened. They feel freer to express their hate in a way they haven't before. One of the messages I hope to give tonight is that genocide, the worst of extremism, never begins with actions. It begins with words. So words can come from the middle, come from not the extremes, and not everybody who speaks the words, says the words, hears the words, the hateful words, is going to become someone who does genocide or murders or does violence, but some will.
How do we combat it?
I think we combat it in a number of ways. Education, learning what it is, learning to recognize it, learning that words count, learning that you can't be against one ism without being against all isms, all forms of hate, and learning that hate and conspiracy theories, which is what anti-Semitism is, are harmful to the democratic institutions that we so treasure. That this is not just a fight about one group, but it's a fight ultimately about the democracy that we hold so dear.
How and when did you first become aware of the Holocaust as an event?
It dawned on me that my father had been saying certain things, and we were learning about the Holocaust in school. And that was the first time that he even mentioned it. I think he felt that we weren't old enough, and I think he just wasn't ready until that point. And then everything kind of came to fruition. And he spoke to us, told us about his family and how his family endured horrible things. He lost his mother and sister and younger brother right away, and told us the events of what happened. And I continued studying, and from that point, I think I learned more and more.
How hard was it hearing these stories from your father for the first time?
I mean, for the most part, it was difficult, but my sisters today, well, I don't want to hear about it. They'd sit down at the dinner table and they said, "Please don't talk about something else." There was some, his, big talks about, not having food and things like that for a whole day. He said he's happy at a loaf of, piece of bread. It was his biggest. He can get all the bread he wants now, but then you get like a small piece of bread once a day.
How important is it as this generation passes away, for your generation and successive generations to talk about what happened to your parents and grandparents?
Well, I think it's important that everybody knows about it. Obviously, people deny that ever happened, but it's ridiculous. But my grandkids, I would tell them eventually, they're a little too young to understand it, but I think it's important to pass it on to your children and grandchildren, and, everybody should know that's something that really happened, and, for no reason at all, just because he was Jewish, his reason for arrest, and he has the papers still, it says a reason for arrest, and it said Jew.
First of all, they should be ashamed of themselves, because you look at this and you see 6 million Jews that perished in there, and I had half of a family that, perished because my real grandmother, my father was a young kid, and she went on a train, he never saw her again. He knew that she was killed, and, how somebody could think that it never happened, and that was something that he always felt that nobody should ever forget, that this is what had happened. When you're hungry and you're starving and, people are being gassed all around you, and it's it's unimaginable that somebody could have done something like that.
BusinessJournalDaily.com 3 Minutes With is brought to you by...
I want to retire knowing we did it right. We want...
To know that it's been worth something.
It's worth everything.
Be intentional about your worth. Farmers National Bank Wealth Management.